Another Shadowlands video. What's going on? Everybody got their coffee? We got a polar bear today? Yeah, we got the polar bear today. All right, we're looking at Druid now. We're looking at the tier sets. Incoming in 9.2, we have access to them. I'm on the PTR. We're looking at tier sets. We do not have access to double legendaries, unfortunately. But we do have access to the tier sets. I'm going to go through Druid today. We're going to look at all 4 of them. Let's get into it. I'm going to start with Balanced Druid, which I'm going to give you a full disclaimer here. I play Balanced Druid the least, but we're going to look at what the tier set does anyway. So the 2 set says entering Lunar Eclipse creates a Fury of a Loon at 25% effectiveness that follows you, follows the current target for 8 seconds. Okay, cool. That's just like the normal Lunar Eclipse, right? Or it's like a Fury of a Loon, sorry. It's like Fury. Fury calls down a beam, and it also follows for 8 seconds. So this is a similar effect. It's the exact same effect, actually. It's just that it's 25% of effectiveness. 4P says when in an eclipse, the cost of your Star Surge and Starfall goes down by 20%. So that's, those are your 2 main spenders here, right? Starfall costs 50. You're going to Starfire a little bit too, but this is just basically more of the same for Druid, for Balanced Druid. You're just going to be getting a free Fury of a Loon. So if you were taking Fury of a Loon before because you needed some extra AoE, I don't know, maybe you could switch to Solstice or New Moon. I mean, I think still taking Fury of a Loon is fine. It was very strong. And you're just going to get additional Furies here as well. I believe it also does give you Astral Power because the tier set reads, excuse me, you enter Lunar Eclipse, it creates a Fury of a Loon at 25% effectiveness, meaning the entire spell works. It does 25% of the damage of a normal Fury of a Loon, and it generates 25% of the astral power that a normal Fury of a Loon would generate. So it generates 40. Instead, it's only going to generate 10, if I'm doing that right. 25, 50, 75, 100, 10, 20, 30, 40. I believe it will give you 10 astral power, and it will do about a quarter of the damage of this, which is something like 1,000 damage. So I think that's really good. It doesn't change anything for Druid. I don't think it doesn't change your playstyle. It is going to give you the cost reduction, though, on Star Surge and Starfall, which is huge. I think that if you're going with maybe the Venthyr playstyle of the Hysteria, you're getting the haste buff, right? Now you have the cost reduction as well when you hit those lunar eclipses. Or sorry, just an eclipse, period. So I think that this is very, very strong. It's just more of the same. I think that going Venthyr with the haste is probably the way to go. I'm not sure what all the Balance Druids are doing now. I think they're all going Venthyr. So I believe that in your Hysteria window now, it might be absolutely bonkers because you're getting the cost reduction on all the abilities that you want to cast. Okay, so that's Balanced Druid. I'm not even going to show the gameplay because it's just pretty simple in terms of what that looks like. So let's look at Resto Druid for a second. So the Resto tier sets have been kind of hit or miss, right? So we looked at the Paladin one, which is insanely good. We looked at the Shaman one, which is almost a complete miss in my opinion, because it focuses on Chain Heal and getting Spirit Link Totem down. It's not really good. What's the Resto one for Druid here? So it says Swift Men heals for an additional 312 for each periodic healing effect on the target. Okay. And then the 4P says Swift Men heals 4 nearby allies for 25% of the healing done. So it's important to know actually that Nature Swiftness does not apply to Swiftmen. So you can't juice your Swiftmen with Nature Swiftness. However, you can this might shift you into like a Swiftmen playstyle, which might push you towards Soul of the Forest, which is the way that I always love to play my Druid, my Resto Druid. But I mean, in Raid, you're still probably going to take Tree Incarn because it's just you need the resource reduction. So I don't think it's going to change your priority there. But this is sort of a Swiftmen focused tier set, and for most Resto Druids, that's kind of not the best. They don't focus on Swiftmen a lot. It's not about burst healing. It's a lot more about the healing over time, right? In Raid, The balanced or the Resto Druids are mostly taking things like the vision of unending growth, right? The rejuvenation, just propagating more rejuvenations over and over and over again, and just blanketing the raid in those hots. And then you get your tranquility out, and you get your wild growth out, and then you're going to extend it all with flourish. That's sort of the playstyle in raid. So in Mythic Plus, I think that you could shift over to more of a photosynthesis build, maybe with a soul of the forest focus, and really focused on those swiftmens. And you could take something like this one, the Verdant Infusion. Swiftmen no longer consumes the heal over time effects, but it extends them. That was the legendary that I was actually running for a little bit on my Resto Druid. I don't know if I still have it. Yeah, here it is, the Verdant Infusion here. So I love this legendary. I think that it was really fun playstyle to mess around with because you could just it saves you so much mana if you think about it. If you cast Wild Growth and you rejuve and you regrowth and you have a life bloom on the target, you can extend all of those, right? Do I have all 5 of these on? Oh, there's a 9.2. No, I didn't get it. Anyway, I'll show you that really quickly. So let's just put random boots on here or whatever. Okay. So I would have Life Bloom, Rejuve. Look at this down here. Regrowth. We're gonna do this. You can even do a Scenarium Word right when my Wild Growth is about to tap out. You press Swiftman and it extends them all. Look at that. It just extended them all, which is insane. And it obviously gives me the Soul of the Forest buff now, and that's a huge heal. Like I just healed for 22k on my one regrowth because of the Soul of the Forest buff. So there's a build here with Swiftmen that really capitalizes on the Soul of the Forest buff, and it's really, I think, more of a like a tank a tank building, tank healing sort of build where you can get these massive Swiftmens, then you can get the Soul of the Forest buff that's gonna get a huge regrowth on that tank, let's say, and you can have something like Cenarium Ward and Life Bloom and Rejuve and Regrowth and Wild Growth, and you can extend all of them with a Swiftman. So that's very, very cool. I love that playstyle, and it seems like the tier set bonus is sort of pushing us towards that a little bit, just because this is totally focused on Swiftmen, and now it gives Swiftmen an AoE component, which is kind of neat. 25% of its healing done is pretty great. So what I do believe you can do with this tier set is if you have multiple heals on somebody. So the first part says it heals for more. Swiftman's going to heal for more if you have more periodic effects on the person. That I think also works with the 4-piece bonus that says Swiftman is going to heal 4 nearby people for 25% of the healing done. So like you get 4 or 5 hots on somebody and then you Swiftman them, and that's going to be a more powerful AoE Swiftman because of all the hots you have on them. Does that make sense? That's kind of what you're looking to do here. But for raid healing, this is a little strange for druids because they're not really focused on the burst healing from Swiftmend. They're not focused on the Soul of the Forest playstyle. They're doing an Incarn Flourish build in a raid with like abundance. That's what you're doing, right? In Mythic Plus, you might swap over to Cenarium Ward and get Soul of the Forest and maybe do a photosynthesis build. There's stuff, there's some interesting combinations there that are going to be kind of cool. So excuse me. I do think that one last thing is that I do think that the Convoke build is incredibly good with this tier set bonus because you're going to get a bunch of free Swiftmens off when you Convoke. Um, and those Swiftmens, let me just do it right over here. I'm going to Convoke over here. Let's just see how it goes. Let's look at overhealing. We're going to press Convoke right now. Doesn't even show them all. That's a bad test. That's okay. That's okay. What I wanted to say is that I've seen this when I've tested this before. Because you have the 1 minute convoke with the legendary. See, it's already 40 seconds back. You are going to get a bunch of Swiftmens for free. Those Swiftmens will give you the Soul of the Forest buff, and with this tier set bonus, those Swiftmens are also going to heal for an additional amount. So, um, I'll try it again in 30 seconds. I'm going to hot myself up first and then cast Swiftmend, because Swiftmend can't actually be cast unless you have hots on a target. I should have remembered that. So I'm going to test this one more time really quick once this comes off cooldown. But I do think that there is a really interesting build here with Soul to Forest, with the tier set bonus, with Swiftmend healing for an additional amount and doing splash healing now. It's going to lean really hard into this Convoke Legendary. And then you can obviously in 9.2 you can combine the Convoke Legendary with anything. You could combine it with Verdant Infusion. And if you send out multiple Swiftmends, they're all going to do splash healing because of the tier set. And they're all going to extend whatever hots are on those people. So let's just get a bunch of hots rolling here. Here we go. I'm going to do this. Then we're going to Swiftmend ourselves. Then we're going to Convoke. There's a Soul of the Forest buff up there. So I did get an additional Swiftmend, and it extended all my hots again, by the way. We actually got 2 extensions of hots there. So, very, very, very cool. Got Soul of the Forest again. This is the playstyle. I love this playstyle for Druid. I think it's going to be really cool. It really is not a raid-friendly playstyle, I don't think, but it is a Mythic Plus friendly playstyle, I believe. So, let's switch over to the DPS. Again, let's go back to Feral. Let's look at the tier set for Feral. What does it say? We're going to switch weapons here really quick. Where's my weapon? This one. Okay, so what's the Feral one say? It says, each combo point spent reduces the cooldown of Incarn or Berserk by 0.5 seconds. Entering Berserk causes you to lacerate all nearby enemies, dealing 12,500 bleed damage. Okay. So the bleed looks kind of cool. It does benefit. It also benefits from mastery because it's a bleed. Okay. I was testing this earlier. I'm not going to do a full-blown Incarn test on this because I've tested it earlier when I was off screen, and it's actually really disappointing. So the big combination that I was looking at for Feral Druid when this first came out was Frenzy Band. Frenzy Band plus the set. So Frenzy Band says your combo point generating abilities reduce the cooldown of Berserk or Incarn, and then the set says your combo point spending abilities reduce the cooldown of Berserk or Incarn by 0.5 seconds. So you're getting a total of like 0.8 seconds reduction. You get 0.3 when you're generating, 0.5 when you're spending. Convoke the spirits when it casts Ferocious Bite, it casts it as though it was spending 5 combo points. So you do get free reduction there on Incarn, but it just isn't that good, guys. It's really sad how bad it was. The best I was able to do was to take Incarn from a 3-minute cooldown to a 2-minute cooldown, which when you get into 9.2, it's gonna line up with every other Convoke, which is okay. It's actually okay that it works that way, but it would be nice if you could get it down to a 1-minute cooldown, because Berserk is not really strong enough on its own to warrant being a 3-minute cooldown. It's way too freaking long. So, what does this look like in practice? I'll show you really quick here. So, we're gonna run in here, get these rolling. Then we're gonna press Incarn. We're gonna lacerate everything. Then we're gonna press Convoke. Then we're just gonna do this. So the damage is good there, and I'll show you the lacerate damage in a second. You can see the damage is fine, and the cooldown of Incarn is slowly working its way back. But I promise you, in the testing that I did, you can only really pull a minute off of the cooldown. But here's the Sickle of the Lion dot. That just did 23k. In AoE situations, this is going to be fine, guys. It's going to be a lot of AoE damage for sure, because it says lacerate all nearby enemies. I don't think it has any. It's uncapped AoE. That's what it is. And in the new version of uncapped AoE, I believe it's actually purely uncapped. It doesn't have any fall off. It's not like reduced beyond 6 targets or something. It's just uncapped AoE. So it does a lot of damage. Entering Berserk causes you to lacerate all enemies. That does a lot of damage. Very strong. That part of it. But the fact that it cools down Berserk is kind of okay, except that it doesn't cool it down enough, and Berserk is not a strong enough cooldown to warrant being cooled down that much. You almost have to take Frenzy Band as well to get the extra cooldown reduction, but then you're pigeonholed into taking this legendary, and maybe you want to take Apex instead. Maybe you want to go Cat Eye Curio. I mean, I don't know. It needs to be better. It's not as good as you might think. There's some other streamers that I was watching. They actually tested this in a dungeon, and they couldn't get the cooldown below 2 minutes. So just it's okay. It's not great. It's a lot of extra damage in AoE. I think in AoE that lacerate damage that you saw there is going to be huge. But ultimately, guys, it needs some work. And Berserk in general just needs some love, and it's not getting any of that love. So once again, this dot very good. I like the dot in AoE. It's going to be good. Okay, what's Guardian Druid? This is my favorite. Absolutely my favorite of all the Druid sets. I think the Resto Druid one is actually a very close second, but the Guardian Druid one is really, really fun. Let's look at it. Casting Bark Skim causes you to berserk for 4 seconds. While you're berserking, you radiate 909 cosmic damage to nearby enemies, and you heal yourself. So this is kind of insane. You can trigger this twice. You can trigger it with Bark Skin, and you can trigger it with Incarn or Berserk. It's currently coded in a very strange way. When you press Bark Skin, you get Bark Skin lasts 12 seconds. When you press Bark Skin, you will get 12 seconds of this cosmic radiating damage and healing. Okay, you'll get 12 seconds of it. When you press Incarn, you'll also only get 12 seconds of the cosmic radiating damage and healing. It looks like that's how it's coded. If you read the wording, it says that while berserked, you radiate. So you would think that taking Incarn to increase the duration of Berserk would make you Berserk for the full Incarn, but you don't Berserk for the entire time. Sorry, you don't radiate damage for the entire time that you're Berserking, unfortunately. It only works for 12 seconds, and I'll show you. We're going to run in here. We're going to press Bark Skim. Watch the up in the corner here. It's going to show you the damage, okay? There we go. I'm going to press Bark Skin. Here's the radiating damage right there, okay? And it's healing me. You can see the healing. It's still radiating. 6, 5, 4, 3. We're radiating damage. Radiating damage. I'm going to now press my Incarn, and it's going to radiate again, but it only radiates for 12 seconds, even though Incarn lasts for 30 seconds, right? So it's not really... The way it's worded is not the way that it actually works in the game. Now we're going to press Convoke. Look at our health. Our health is at 112k. This is just so broken. And our Bark Skin's back, so we're going to press Bark Skin again. We're going to radiate more damage and more healing. Look at the healing. The healing's insane. And the radiating damage is almost done. And it's done. Okay. Let's run away. So, how much damage did it do? Well, it's our top damage, of course. So it did 144k to 3 targets. I only had 3 targets there. Imagine if you had like 10 targets. This thing is absolutely insane. It just says nearby enemies. It looks like it's uncapped AoE. There's no... I could be wrong there, but as far as we understand right now, it's uncapped AoE. And the healing is amazing. 1100 every 12 seconds. That's 11,000 healing. It's about 13,000 healing. When you press Bark Skin now, you get 13,000 healing back. When you press Incarn or Berserk, you get another 13,000 heal. The obvious combination that we're looking at here when we get to the double legendaries is you're going to have the Convoke legendary, as I was just using. And then, guys, you're just going to combine it with Ursox, and it's going to be just, like, you're going to be so unkillable. It's insane. You could also get this as well. This actually might be really, really a solid legendary. Let me explain why. Excuse me. First of all, you're going to get 25% more damage while you're berserking. Here's what I don't know. When you press Bark Skin, you get Berserk for 4 seconds. So I think that you're going to get, if you have this legendary on, you're going to also get 25% more damage for that 4 seconds. And you're going to get the Leech, and you're going to get immunity, right? So every time you Bark Skin, you're going to be getting more damage, essentially now. And then when you press your Incarn, you're also going to get 25% more damage, and all that radiating damage, which we're showing here, which is this Architect's Aligner, that's going to go up by 25%, which is incredible. That's a lot of extra damage. Also, the most important part of this legendary is it reduces the cooldown of Incarn by 30 seconds, guys. We're already doing that. If you take Incarn, you get 30 seconds off. Look at it, lasts for 30 seconds. Oh, it only lasts for 3 seconds. Sorry, it just lasts longer. It doesn't reduce its cooldown. So it doesn't reduce its cooldown, but it lasts longer. It lasts for 10 seconds longer. So you're getting the 25% more damage for 10 seconds longer, and you're getting 30 seconds off the cooldown now. I think that this Legacy of the Sleeper cooldown legendary is going to be incredibly strong. And I think if you combine it with your Convoke legendary, I mean, it's going to be just disgusting. If you're looking for a more defensive route, you could get the Natural Orders, get the Barkskin Legendary, 10% more DR, more healing, and a Iron Fur. It's probably overkill, honestly, because you're gonna get this cosmic healing now from the tier set. So I think you could obviously go Lufa as well, but I think the shields from Ursox in Mythic Plus, and then maybe Legacy of the Sleeper in a raid, but I think Legacy of the Sleeper could also go into Mythic Plus. These are your go-to legendaries here, combined with the Celestial Spirits. But I'm excited, really excited to see this legendary here, Legacy of the Sleeper, get 30 seconds off of Incarn, and then you just go Barkskin for the radiating damage, Incarn for the radiating damage. Barkskin will be back off cooldown again. Do it again for the radiating damage. And then maybe you're going to Barkskin one more time, and then your Incarn will be back, and you press that again. The amount of damage coming out of this friggin' tier set is insane. It's going to be absolutely crazy. And in Mythic Plus, it just scales higher, guys. It's uncapped AoE. So also the healing. I mean, it's just going to make you unkillable. Bear's already unkillable, so it's just going to make it even better. So yeah, those are the tier sets for Druid, guys. Those are the four. I really like Guardian Druid. I really like Resto Druid. The balance one I think is good. It's just more of the same. I think it's very strong. Get you that free Fury of Elune. The Feral one is disappointing, not gonna lie. The damage, it looks okay, particularly in AoE. But Berserk is a 3-minute cooldown, and it's just not good enough to be a 3-minute cooldown. It's just not. So, particularly when you look at some of the other tier sets that the other classes are getting, like Paladin, I mean, this is just not. It's just kind of weak. So, that is Druid, guys. Those are the tier sets coming for Druid in 9.2. Hopefully, the Feral one changes, and hopefully the other three don't change at all. That would be really great. But I'm looking forward mostly to the Guardian Druid one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know what you think about Druid heading into 9.2, and we will see you in the next one.